North America and Europe, the Volkswagen Golf is a bit of one of those really common cars, but at least here in the Philippines, they're seen as a very premium little car. It's something a bit more premium than the Toyota Corolla or the Honda Civic. But what's even rarer than those are these ones right here. Here we have the 2018 Volkswagen Golf GTI. Now you have to note that this is the Mark 7 because we kind of got our units late here in the Philippines. Anyway, today I'm going to show you around this car and I'm also going to give it a test drive, so stay tuned. This GTI is for sale here at Metro Cars Pasay. They actually have two GTIs over here, so if you're interested, I'll put their number in the description down below. Despite me saying that the Golf is a little bit more on the premium side, at least for us in the Philippines, I have to admit that it is kind of bland looking, but at least since it is a GTI, you do get a GTI badge right there at the front. You get a lot of red stripes. And now these lights, while they look good, you have to remember that even though this is a 2018 model, because of the whole Philippines getting really nice cars pretty late, this is not a 7.5, not a Mark 7.5, so these lights are still the older Mark 7 Golf lights. Now also you get a really nice grille down here, it's very much blacked out, and you also get these nice, look like fins right here. They don't really lead to anywhere, you only get fog lights down there, but they still look really good. Now if you think the front is very bland, the side gets even more blander. So there's really not much details over here aside from, again, your GTI badge. Then you get these really nice rims. These are 225 4018s and they're wrapped in a really nice Bridgestone Potenza tires. Aside from that, these side mirrors, I love how they're mounted pretty much on the door instead of here on the A-pillar. That really adds a little bit more to the quietness of this car when you're traveling at high speeds. Now, if you go on over here at the back, it has a really short overhang. This makes this car incredibly nimble. Before I had the GTS Sportwagen, which is basically the estate version of this car, and it was a little bit long. It felt a little bit off, but this one in its hatchback form is the perfect way to get your Golf. Now when you go towards the back of the GTI, it still is very understated. However, you have really nice lights that look really good even from afar. Then you get twin exhaust pipes, which, it just reminds you that driving a GTI and not just any regular Golf. Now when you open this one up, you do it by just pulling up this Volkswagen handle. Now as you open that one up, you get a really small trunk, but I guess for its class, it's not bad in terms of size. Open this one up and you get a donut space saver tire. Now you can also fold down these rear seats, but what's annoying about it is that you can't pull it from here at the back, so you have to go all the way in front just to pull it down. You also get this nice partial cover over here. Now this car comes with a reverse camera, but you're gonna ask me, where is it? So what you do is you just put the car into reverse and then this happens. There you go, it pops out from under the Volkswagen cover. Really nice. So under the hood of the Golf GTI, you have this really tiny looking 2-liter TSI engine, which produces 220 horsepower in PS and 350 Newton meters of torque. Now, while this looks incredibly tiny, Volkswagen has done a great job of turbo boosting this car. So you can go from 0 to 100 in 6.5 seconds, while also maintaining a sense of practicality. Here inside the Golf, first let's check the third of the door. It's almost like a back vault sound. Let's start the car up. Fires right up like that. Now, what's interesting about this car is I want to show you the key first. So it has push button start, but as you can notice, your key is still this flip key right here. So why is that so? That's because in case the battery of your key dies, there's actually this cover beside the door handle outside, which you can remove. Then you just stick your key in. Pretty cool. Now, okay, in here, compared to its Japanese counterpart, it's definitely a much more premium interior. No doubt that just like the exterior, it's very understated, but I mean, the material in here is just really top notch. So the leather on your dashboard, that's really nice. Same thing with the door sidings, even every single place that your arm will touch, that's all soft touch. This armrest right here, which is also extendable, that is all soft touch. Then your seats too, it's leather at the side with a lot of nice red stitching. Then in the middle, it's Alcantara, it's like cloth. It's very similar to like the pattern you get with the older Golfs. What you don't get, however, is the golf ball shifter knob. Back to the steering wheel, it's a very nice steering wheel, flat bottom, you get a nice GTI badge. Then your instrument cluster, it's also very clean. It's just a very no-nonsense speedometer with a no-nonsense interior overall. The screen right here, which although small, it is rather responsive. A lot of piano black trim. They're not that easy to scratch, and although it is piano black, it has like hints of those carbon fiber fake patterns, but overall it still looks rather good. Dual zone climate control. Open this one up and you have a nice place to put your phone. Then you get 2 cup holders. And what's weird about this car, at least in the Philippines, is you can only get this GTI in this exact spec, but you can get what we call the GTS, the Sportwagen in North America, in only a diesel form, but that comes with a conventional handbrake. But this one, the hot hatch version, comes with an electronic parking brake with auto hold. Why? They should have done the opposite, right? Overall, I'd say that this car is a very practical and fun car to be in, and the back seat definitely reflects that proposition. So now I'm 5'6" and I'm seated by my driving position. I have great leg room. However, if you're around 6 feet or taller, this is where the back gets a little bit on the useless side. So here at the back, at least you get the really nice seats, very similar to the front. So it's a mix of Alcantara and leather. Then you also got that same red stitching. Open this one up, you get this nice armrest, which is nicely padded. And what's cool about it is that you have these things, they're movable. So you get 2 cup holders, but they can transform into like many types of cups that you can hold. So usually in most cars, you can only have like 2 settings for that. You move this plastic piece, but for this one, you get like, I don't know, probably like 10 different positions on how to fit your cup. It's really cool. Now, if you want to sit here in the middle, it's also not bad. The car, although it's a bit on the narrow side, I must say that the way they structured it makes seating 3 people here just a little bit more doable. It's not the best, but you can kind of get away with it in a squeeze. Driving the 2018 Golf GTI Mark 7. So as you drive this car, it's just a very practical car. I mean, like, even if it's supposedly like a pocket rocket, some hot hatch that you can take to even the track on the weekends, it's a very comfortable car. There's absolutely nothing you can say against this car when it comes to the daily drivability. So for example, you have one of these and you buy it for yourself, but then your family members want to use it from time to time. It's one of those cars that just feel very normal to everyone. But the thing about this is that the very moment you unleash it, there's just so much power that it has under the hood for how small a car it is. So if you just change the driving mode to like sport, or even if you put it in individual, then you kind of floor this car. There you go. The sound isn't exactly the best. It doesn't really give you a very nice sounding exhaust. There's no roar to it. It's a very subdued type of engine noise, but overall the acceleration for a car, especially at this price point, is really good. Now, before I used to have the Golf GTS Sportwagen, which is like the diesel version of it. The main difference between that and this is, of course, this one has a little bit better suspension. It's a bit lower, and you get that petrol, that gasoline 2-liter TSI engine, versus that it's a 2.0 diesel. But that one just has so much low down torque, whereas this one, it takes a little bit of revving to get it to that optimum power band. Okay, now we're just gonna launch this car because that's pretty much what you want to do in a Golf GTI. So we put all the settings up to its sportiest mode, and even there's this thing here that says like interior engine sound. No idea what that is. I don't know if it pumps fake exhaust notes into the speakers, but let's just try it. So let's floor the brake and the gas and launch like that, and it's actually not much wheel spin. Okay, the traction control is acting up. There you go, and that's 100. We hit the brakes hard. Ooh, the brakes are really good. Now let's just make a U-turn right here and then kind of get a rolling launch. And okay, and we turn like that and we go. Oh, yeah, and it's really revvy. The engine, yeah, it's not the best sounding engine, but it's still adequate. It'll still put a smile on your face. If you take this out often, then after a long day at work, you want to de-stress by just getting some pulse. This car is pretty much perfect, and it's still really good. Even with like speed bumps like that, it's still a very comfortable car overall. Now as we turn this corner, the body roll is not that pronounced in this car. What I don't like about it is if you don't put it in sport mode, there is a lot of torque steer because it is a front wheel drive car. But when you put it in sport mode, they do some Volkswagen does some steering magic, and it takes away all the torque steer. There you go. It's a very revvy car too. Getting up to like 100 or like 60 miles per hour is so easy in this car. It does it in like 6.5 seconds. And while it's not blazingly fast, Again, for this price point, you really can't go wrong. Since it has a DSG, if you're going in like a slower Manila streets and it's a bit of a stop and go situation, especially if it's an incline or you're at a stoplight, it gets just a little bit jerky, and if you're at an incline, it would tend to roll back a little. Now, it doesn't come with that conventional handbrake, and sure, you can easily use your electronic parking brake to do that so that you won't roll, but I think it's just a little bit easier if they retain the conventional handbrake with this one. Now for the seats, I really love how there's just the adequate amount of bolstering. It's not uncomfortable at all, even if you go in longer journeys. The support for the back, you get really nice lumbar support. There's so much adjustments for the lumbar support. The only thing I don't like about it is that it doesn't have power seats, nor memory seats, of course, but still, that's really not what you want in a car like these. So these manual seats will suffice very much. And again, ergonomically, they're also really good. When you talk about the transmission, you can easily forgive that it's a bit jerky in stop and go traffic, because this car wasn't really made for stop and go traffic. After all, this was created well in Germany and their Autobahn. But when you do want to drive this properly, the DSG system, the dual clutch, it's incredibly responsive. The gears are so fast. Of course, it uses a similar technology as Porsche's PDK because it is virtually the same thing, and it is just lightning quick. The very moment you just change your gears using your paddle shifters, oh, it's so crisp. You don't even feel there's absolutely no it doesn't kill the revs at all. It just snaps like that. You go to the next gear, you downshift and goes back down to the next gear. There you go. Then now, as we're going a bit fast, we're doing around like 100 right now, it's incredibly quiet in here, and that's something that its Japanese counterparts just can't do. Those cars just lack so much refinement that this car has. I mean, you can cruise in the motorway, the expressway, you can do even like 200, and it's still a very comfortable riding experience. Everything's so quiet. Wind whistle is very low. Tire noise is also very low, especially with these Potenza tires. But it's just a great, comfortable car that you can track and have fun with once in a while. Overall, for this price point, there's really absolutely no other car that you can get with this amount of gear, with this amount of power, and with this amount of refinement. This is absolutely the best car you can get in its class. If you like this video, please don't forget to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel to see more car reviews.